So, good afternoon, James. Nice to see you again. I can't believe it's another Monday.
I know, it flies, doesn't it? These weeks are absolutely flying.
Crazy. How are you anyway?
Yeah, I'm very good. Thank you very much. Yeah, looking forward to another positive week, hopefully.
Yes.
So,
Got lots of fun?
Yeah, well, just working away, busy as usual, and sort of prepping really now for obviously the run up to the end of the year, Christmas, because we've got all these things that are going to be in between, haven't we, with Halloween? And well, it'll be interesting to see what does happen. But in theory, it should be a busy time for everyone.
Brilliant. So today's live's called Digital Advertising 101. So what does that mean, James? What's that all about?
So yeah, I thought, do you know what? Let's just give a little educational piece. And what's prompted this is last week I've had a conversation, and it's quite a common conversation, that it can be such a daunting thing, this whole digital world. Not everybody is a marketing person when they're in business and they're starting. So, even though we kind of know a lot of this stuff, we don't know it, if you know what I mean, because it's not written down for us in a guidebook. So I thought, do you know what? Today, for 20 minutes, we could just go through and just give people a little lesson so that people are a bit more clued up when they're actually talking about digital advertising and what that actually means, what the options are.
Cool. I've got my pen ready. I'm ready to learn.
You got the pen ready. Is it going left? Is it going right? Am I following it?
Yeah.
So what I'm hoping to do, if this is going to work, is do a quick screen share and then just talk through. We're going to start with the most common, and this is assuming that everybody has a website, because your website is always the starting point for all of your online stuff. It's where you want to be sending your traffic to. It's where you want customers going to check you out about your business and blah, blah, blah. So this assumes that you've got your website and your website is set up, and this is sort of the next step. It's kind of, how do we get people visiting our website now? How do we get them looking, and what do we do to optimize the chances of getting more customers coming in? Because ultimately that's what most people want. They want paying customers. They want more of them. There's lots of ways that you can do it, but I'm just going to run through and educate people about what those options are. So let's see if this works. I'll just hit my share, and then hopefully if I do that, everybody can now see what I see.
Magic.
Super duper. So I've tried to keep this like fairly relevant for people. So I've done a localized search, and it's just for accountant in Plymouth. It's just an example. So most people are familiar with obviously all of these results that we get when we do a search like this, because Google, people go on a daily basis. So when we're doing a search for a business service, like I've just done, like an accountant, that is obviously a B2B service. Okay. So what we'll typically see is we'll see these ads appear in the top section of the screen. Okay. Now we'll also get ads that will appear at the bottom of this screen as well. So you can see down here. So what this is basically doing is it's maximizing advertising space, because this is how Google make the chunk of their money. So these are the adverts, and I'm just going to break this page down and show people what's what on Google search results. So then the next thing that you will see is this map box area, and that comes directly underneath the adverts. So this map box is obviously showing me all of the localized listings, and this has appeared because obviously I've put in this place name Plymouth. Now sometimes people might search for near me, because near me is a really popular one. But it will still serve the same. It will serve it by your location where it recognizes you. So this is a very localized list of business services, and it's showing me obviously this little map area around Plymouth. And it's recommending it's not recommending, but it's showing me 3 businesses. And then I can view all, but those 3 are the 3 that Google has ranked to be, the top 3. So we got the ads, we got this Google map box, and then we've got all of these bits here, which are just the organic listings. Okay. Now, to break this down, it's really simple, because ads, this is a way that you can pay to make sure that you are appearing for relevant searches. So it's a quick and easy way to get to the first page of Google by paying for the privilege.
Okay.
So if you've got a website and you know that website isn't appearing for one of your main search terms when it comes to Google, then the quickest and the easiest way to get on that first page is to buy some ads, put a budget there, and you will start to appear on the first page of Google, providing that you optimize the ads and you know what you're doing. You need to know a little bit. But that's the paid version, if you like. Now, these two bits down here, so this map area, this is where, whenever I've spoken about taking charge of your Google listing, so when you Google My Business, that's exactly what that is. So you type in Google My Business, and all the information that you end up putting into your business listing will appear here. Because if I click on View All and I expand it, it takes me into the map area, and it now shows me all of those localized businesses that should have a listing. So any accountants in Plymouth, you would hope that they've done the Google My Business, and somewhere they're going to be listed on here. Yeah. What you'll also notice is that it's also serving ads here as well. So these ads, just going back here, these ads are actually a really clever way, because it's not just optimizing you on that first page of Google there, and you're not just paying for that privilege, but you can also appear here within these map listings when people view all and they actually go into it. So that's your map section, okay, which you can be in those top 3 free. It doesn't have to cost you any money to do that. It just needs optimizing, and it needs doing properly. Yeah. And then down here, this is where we refer to, I suppose, SEO would be the common term that people would understand. So this is what SEO does. SEO is all about getting you to appear in these listings.
Yeah.
So just to break down, paid ads, Google Maps, Google My Business, and then you've got your organic SEO, which is going to help you to get listed here. Okay. Now, in an ideal world, if you were an accountant in Plymouth, Lisa, what you would want is, ideally, you'd want to appear in all of these places to have the maximum amount of exposure that you can possibly get. So if we have a look down this page, and let's take someone, Tax Assist is a good example. So Tax Assist, big franchise, big company, and you can see they've got the #1 ad there, Plymouth Accountants, Tax Assist, Plymouth. They appear there in that map section. And then further down on this page, they also appear here in the organic listings. So they've done a really good job of optimizing their exposure online, because what we've got there is 3 opportunities for somebody to find them and to put an inquiry in if I'm looking for an accountant in Plymouth. Now, this can be done for smaller businesses, and actually this is why I wanted to do this education piece, because it's not necessarily an expensive or a difficult thing to achieve. SEO is all about taking time on your website and doing it properly, so that Google recognizes that you have a good website that people want to visit, blah, 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 and you appear there. So that's work, if you like, rather than...
So for me, because when I do searches, I mean, I might be wrong, but I just ignore all the ones that say they're paid ads, and I go down to the ones that are the ones you would class as organic, unless I'm doing unless I want to look at the map for obvious reasons. But if I'm just doing a general searching for something, then and sometimes I've even gone 2 or 3 pages in to try and just find somebody who's not paying to be at the top, because I want to give other people a bit of a chance. So does that mean that if they're not up higher on the pages, then you probably shouldn't look in anyway, because they're probably not so good at their job? Or does that mean that they've just not got the right ways of promoting themselves then? Is that what it is?
Absolutely. I mean, what ends up happening is a lot of people, it's like the build it and they will come scenario. People think that you build a website and that will naturally just attract visitors, and people will find your website when they're doing a search, and you're one of the competition. In reality, how this breaks down, and what you've just described there is there's a psychology to this, because once upon a time, if we go back a few years, there was a lot of spammy stuff that used to come up at the top of Google.
Yes.
Now they've done a hell of a lot of work over the years to really make this useful and get rid of that spam.
Yes.
All right, but people who are used to that have kind of got this stigma, if you like, of the ads.
Yeah, and I would be one of those people, because I remember way back along, and it'd be like, whoa, I don't want none of that rubbish. What's that for? So yes, I am. Yeah. So that's interesting to know, that, because I suppose there'll be lots of people like me that wouldn't necessarily know that, and they'll still carry on scrolling past just because.
And there absolutely are. There are still people. However, that's not to write up, because just to give you an idea, this ad, roughly about 50% of people click on these ads.
Yes.
Okay, so the studies show that about half of people in the world globally will use paid ads, and they will click on them. Yes. On what occasion, that varies, obviously. But it does work, and the return that a typical business would get, and again, this is average across all industries, all ads, everything, but a typical return would be £2 for every £1 that you spend on the ads and invest into it. So actually, you can understand why businesses do spend money in this space, because it makes money for them.
Yeah, definitely. And as I say, I'm just, because of old-fashioned in that sense, but this is the good thing about what you're doing. You're telling people what's what. So now I'll be like, oh, okay, well, let's have a look. When you don't understand it, that's the thing. We just use these things and don't often know what we're doing. So
absolutely. And the other thing that's really good is that these adverts here, believe it or not, they don't cost any of these companies money to appear here until I actually click on one of them, which is why it's called pay-per-click.
Pay-per-click, yeah.
So until I actually click on one of these listings, which I'm not going to do, obviously, because it would cost them £1 or whatever it is for me to click on that and visit their website. Yes. But at this moment in time, just appearing in the search results, it's not costing anything.
Oh, okay. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah? So that's good, because it means that we're only paying for the traffic that is actually coming to the website.
Yes. And then you can monitor it, I guess, and see what's, where people are coming from as well, I guess, from all of that. So, yeah. Absolutely.
Now, the other thing that we really like as well is when it comes to Google ads, there's a lot of evidence, there's a lot of data that actually shows that people who do click on the adverts are about 50% more likely to do business with you than somebody who finds you through these organic listings.
Yeah.
So the conversion rate for these tends to be better.
Yeah.
Albeit, you're absolutely right in what you pointed out, in that the majority overall will go here, which is why SEO is such a big area. Because the majority of people will go here. And again, it comes down to the order as well, because out of those, most will go to click number 1. Yeah, it's a much smaller percentage that goes to 2, 3, 4. And by the time you get down to the bottom of the first page, there's a much lower chance. In fact, the tail off of people not even visiting page 2 of Google is, well, put it this way, I think it's about 92% of all searches or something like that actually only look at the first page.
Yeah.
So 9 out of 10 people doing a search for your business service within your area is looking at page 1 of Google. And if you're not listed on page 1 of Google for that search, they've not found you and they've gone away somewhere else.
Dave, we need to be on page 1.
Well, Dave's is a good example. I mean, he's got some really good maxed out, and that's why obviously it's easy to find Dave's website and all the rest of it. So, but that's a breakdown of that page of Google. Cool. Now, what this is called is basically search advertising, okay, or search marketing, and this is all about optimizing for people that are already aware of kind of what it is that they want, or maybe they're doing some research into. Because if we think about this this progression that people go through. So every time you buy something, Lisa, or every time somebody buys something, and I'll stop sharing my screen for a second while I'm talking about this. Every time you purchase something, you will go through a process, unbeknown to you probably, because you'll do it subconsciously. But the first thing is the awareness. Yeah. You have to be aware. So let's say that Paul will probably like this, Paul Seeley, but Land Rover. Let's say somebody wants to buy a new Land Rover.
Yeah, yeah.
The first thing that happens is, do you know what? I think I need a new car.
Yeah.
Yeah. And that is your self-awareness of you saying, okay, it's time for me to start looking. So what you then naturally do is you go to the next bit, which is kind of the consideration.
Mm-hmm.
So you'll be doing some searches, and you'll be doing searches looking around for 4x4s, and you start to get an idea of what you want.
Yeah, yeah.
And then once you've really crystallized that idea and you think, right, I've narrowed this down, I know what it is I want to buy, that's then in that last phase of consideration, because then that search might be totally different. And it might, instead of it being a 4x4, what it'll probably be is Land Rover PE14, I don't know what the numbers are, P400E leather black. But you see what I'm saying?
I do, yes.
Just through that search, it's possible to know whether we've got somebody who's ready to buy, or somebody who's considering what they're looking for. Yeah. So again, it can be really useful to optimize your search marketing, because if you've got listings on that first page, when somebody comes along and searches, I want Land Rover Sport or something, Range Rover Sport, P400E, black, leather interior. And if you pop up there, there's a good chance that somebody's going to be calling you up that day and saying, can I book and come and have a test drive of one? Yeah,
Definitely. Yeah, no, I get that.
Yeah,
we've just been in the process of that. Well, trying to buy not a Land Rover. I can't afford anything like that. But same thing for me. Looking at a car, you start with the idea, and then you start looking, and then you're looking, and gosh, you get bored at the end of it.
Yeah,
you do end up finding it takes time, but it's
that's what people typically do. And Google is the place that we go to do all of that stuff.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, because we use Google as a bouncing website. We don't spend a lot of time on there, but we're looking for things. And when we think we've found something that looks like, okay, that could be what I'm looking for, then we go and visit that website. So this is why it's so important to really optimize your presence on Google, to make sure you're catching those right searches. Then you can get all of that. And if your SEO is not working for whatever reason, or you've got too much competition, you could pay for ads and you could be on that, first page the next day.
Yeah, that's good.
So that's search marketing, search advertising.
Yes,
right? The next step from that is something called retargeting.
Oh, okay.
Right, that gets interesting now. So I'm going to share my screen again, and this is typically what people would describe as the stalking adverts. Yeah, okay. And we hear this all the time. I hear it all the time. I'm sure you do, where you do a search or you've looked for something, and all of a sudden you're seeing adverts popping up left, right, and centre for something.
Yes. In fact, the other day, my husband's deaf and was talking about hearing aids and how he can get some a special device that he can then Bluetooth to talk through his hearing aids if he answers the phone. And within seconds on his phone, all of a sudden these adverts appeared. We were like, how did that happen? It's like, whoa, that's a bit scary.
and it is. It's kind of, people look at it as the Big Brother scenario, where it's like, oh my God. But, this is common practice. And, we know that they're doing this. They're doing it under the proviso of optimizing adverts that are relevant to us.
I don't mind, to be fair, because if you're talking about it and you're wanting to look at it, it saves you having to find it.
Exactly. Exactly. And this is why they do it, because if you think about it, if you've had that conversation and they've got some keyword triggered data that they think, right, I think they're interested in hearing aids.
Yes.
You're a much smarter prospect. It's a much more intelligent way of spending to target you than just to blanket advertise everybody in an area.
Yeah, definitely.
And this is why it's important to understand what you're doing with these ads when it comes to the targeting, because we can do that level of targeting, you know, which can be really, really good. The problem is a lot of people waste money when they spend it on online advertising because they'll get a voucher. They're not a specialist in this stuff, and they'll just say, let's target everybody in the Southwest and let's advertise hearing aids to everybody. And it's kind of wasted money.
Yeah, I get that, because I've actually, with Facebook ads, I did that for my own stuff. I did the ads to promote stuff, didn't get anything from it, didn't know what I was doing, spent a tenner and just thought, well, it was only a tenner, it's no big deal. But actually, if I'd have got you to do it, you probably it would have been a lot better, wouldn't it? But this is the problem. We try to be clever, and I'm clearly not technical.
Yeah, but it's like anything, isn't it? It's like, and it's great that they do offer these things for people to dabble. Personally, I think it has a bit of a kickback in a way, because people don't. They literally view it after they've sampled it and tried it, and they're going, I got no results. And like, you spent 10 quid, but that's not representative, isn't a tenner of what actually, if it was working, it could be doing. And the reality is, if that was producing you £2,000 for every £1,000 you were spending, you'd probably be chucking more and more like these bigger companies do.
Yeah, exactly.
But anyway, going back to these ads, I'm just going to show you this very quickly. I'm conscious of time, obviously, but I'll just summarize this. So we'll go back here again onto this screen. So retargeting. So I've just come to an example website. This is AOL Weather. And you can see I've got an ad up here. Now, this one is MailChimp.
Yeah.
And I've got an ad over here on this right-hand side here, which is displaying, and I'm not sure what that one is actually, but it's not obvious at the minute. But you can see that there's an ad that's playing there.
Yeah.
Now, this website, this isn't Google, this is AOL. But it's still got adverts that are controlled through Google. Now, how this works is it's retargeting, and they call it retargeting because I've probably already typed something in here into Google that has told Google what I'm interested in looking for. Let's say I click on that tax assist accountant website and they've got retargeting in place. What could happen is, when I visit a bunch of different websites that Google call their display network, I will see these ads. So it's not just on Facebook, it's on lots and lots of websites throughout the web. And these ads will start being served to me. And the way that they work is that they typically follow you for a period of up to 30 days. And they're designed because when somebody comes and clicks on something here, the amount of time on average that it takes from somebody visiting your website to actually contacting you to either purchase or make an appointment is typically 21 days.
Okay.
So that's the average amount of time that we need to process stuff, to do the research, to do whatever, and then to make up our mind and say, do you know what, actually, we're going to do something. So retargeting can be really powerful, because if in that 21-day period you're seeing all of these adverts bombarding you everywhere you go, the chances are you're going to be going back there to either purchase or book that appointment.
Yeah.
Okay, so this is...
I've done it.
Yeah, absolutely. You know, and without that, we're actually missing a massive trick there, because 95% of people who visit a website will disappear forever.
Yeah.
All right. But when we bring this into the mix, what we're doing is we're retargeting that 95% of people, and we're dragging a much higher percentage of people back over so that we can actually get them and entice them to do business. So it works, does this stuff. And actually having them in combination, having a Google ad up there that's running in combination with this display stuff, it's actually shown that the organic search for a company name can increase threefold.
Oh, okay. Oh, wow. That's
good. So like, for example, if it was Tax Assist who was doing it and using, I'm using them as the example. I'm not promoting them, by the way, but using them as an example. But they've got really good optimization here. And if they were hitting display, I would imagine what Tax Assist would have seen is they could have seen an increase in their organic search results for people searching for Tax Assist accountants by up to 3 times, just as a result of having that awareness being generated online.
That's cool. And just think, if James Souden was at the top, then you could have spoke about him, but it's his own fault. He's not there, is he?
Well, James needs to come and have a word with me, and we can help him out.
That's all I was thinking all the time. I'm thinking, James, where are you?
I know, yeah. I shouldn't have gone the accountant route at all, should I? Again, I've just used it as an example. Now, obviously, that's service related. I'll probably do a part 2 on this next week.
Yeah, definitely.
The time is running out. Next week, we'll probably have a look at how this works for products, you know, the shopping ads and stuff like that.
Yes,
so instead of it being a service-based business, we'll have a look and see what, if you're actually selling products, how you can get that to work for a business that's an e-commerce store or something like that.
Yeah, it's brilliant. We've got a question from Ben Greenwood, actually. He's just said, James, question, what's been the most mental block for you over lockdown?
Ooh, that's a question.
Ooh.
The most mental block.
Yeah, I think what you mean. So Ben dabbles about doing stuff on the computer. He's way more technical than me, so I think he's asking in the sense of what you do with your work. I imagine. I think that's what he's saying. I think he's watching. What do you mean, Ben?
Mental. Well, it could be mental 2 ways. It could be mental like I'm crazy, or it could be mental block.
I think it's. What's been the most mental block for you over lockdown? I think what he's saying is what sort of, is there anything that's caused you to have a mental block while you've been in lockdown as to far as what you're doing?
Do you know what? Actually, it's a good conversation. I know you're quite key on this as well, and I think, you know, having these conversations is a really important thing in this day and age, especially with everything that's going on, because we've had a huge rise in people's mental breakdowns.
Yeah.
You know, I'm human like everybody else. I have felt the toll of it. I'm a very social person. I like getting out networking. People know my face when I'm out on the circuit, and I'm used to meeting people. I vibe off it and I love it. And that has been so difficult not having that people connection. The fact that I'm working out of this, you know, small 4 foot by 4 foot room, I'm literally locked in for 14 hours a day. It's not easy. And I think that in terms of mental block, I think you've got to recognise the symptoms of certain things. What I found helpful, just to spin this round, is having some sort of consistency in routine. Yeah. And even though I work on a daily basis with things like social media, I actually have to block the time. So if I'm just constantly looking at notifications throughout the day randomly, as and when people are tagging me, it sends me crazy. Yes. And what I have to do is I have to block the time. So I have 3 times that I check in with anything social media typically. And that'll be first thing on a morning. I'll just have a look and just see. There might be so many that I can't respond to stuff or whatever. Lunchtime, again, if I'm having a bite to eat, I'll just have a little look and stuff. And then again on the night, but also switch off. I've got a switch off time.
We all do, don't? That's the thing. We do have to do that. Someone's just said, I don't know who it is. It says Facebook user. I can't see on here. And it just says, there's 2 things. I'm working with Speek makes a massive difference for us. It could be Dave, but he's blacked out who it is. And then it says he is a very he's very social, especially for a cup of Yorkshire. Great. It's going to be Dave because it's great advice and tips from Mr. B. #marketing, #Southwest Business Connections Mentor. He's poorly sick today. Dave's not feeling very well, bless him.
No, I've heard. Yeah.
So,
Well, we're sending you well wishes, Dave. I could have a north-south pun there, and I could say, it's all right, mate. We know it affects you Southerners worse, but no, that's just the banter. I'm actually the worst. My Amanda will tell you I'm the worst for man flu and stuff like that if I get anything. So, well, I've just had woman flu
for the last couple of weeks, and I can assure you it's not very nice. So women are just as bad. It's just that I suppose that men tend to be a little bit more. What's the word? You keep going, you keep pushing through because you're going to fight it off. But then what happens is you end up more ill, and that's what the problem is. Not that it's worse. That's
a great example, not just with the flu, but what we were talking about with people's mental health during all of this lockdown as well. And I'm not a specialist in this field by any means, but I do know that we have a tendency of bottling things up. And do you know what? Sometimes there's been occasions where I've just had conversations with people through the screen. Whether it's my dad or whether it's a friend or whatever, and it can make such a big difference just by having that bit of a conversation, you know, and really actually speaking to people. Be honest about, we're all in it together, we're all feeling this, do you know what I mean?
I think we're very lucky now that we do have all this technology around us. I mean, in one sense, technology can be too much, like you say, and we have to switch off. But imagine if we were going through this now and we didn't have the ability to be able to speak to family and friends elsewhere online. You know, we can only imagine what it must have been like for people back in the war and all the rest of that. So while it is rubbish and it is crappy, we've got to make the best of it, haven't we? And we're very lucky to have people like yourself who are knowledgeable. So if anybody needs any help to do with anything technical, website, whatever, James, go on his website and get in touch with him. He's a really
good for the plug. But,
I'm gonna call you in a minute. I'm gonna say, James, can you help me?
Yeah, I'm stuck on this and I need to help on it.
I don't know how to do this. Yeah. You think I'm joking? I have got something to ask you anyway. But all right, lovely. Well, thank you very much, and we'll look forward to part 2. You've had lots of viewers today and lots of likes and questions and everything, so you're always very popular.
I'll jump in the group. I will answer as many questions. And if people have got questions, as always, it doesn't have to be related to what I've just shown in the video. If you've just got general marketing questions, if you're looking for a few pointers or something like that, I'm more than happy to have a look. I don't charge people for initial time, but
Dave wants to know where your hat is. Where's your cap?
So I have got my hat. I've got my hair tied back, but look, I have got my hat.
There he goes. He's fully branded up. Brilliant.
Fully branded.
All right, lovely. Well, thank you very much. I'll see you again next week. Thank you.
Lovely. All right.